Hi, guys, it's Mrs. Cameron here, and I just wanted to take some time today to show you the CLT10 math practice questions that are available online. You just go to cltexam.com, sign in, prepare for exam, and when you scroll down, the CLT10 practice test is right here. And then when you finish taking your practice test, you can click on the eyeball here and it'll show you the answer key with answer explanations for every question. I might as well pull that up while I'm making the video just in case. Um, and while you're taking the test, your counter on the side over here tells you how many questions you have left. You can, no matter where you're at, what question you're on, you can pull up the reference sheet here. The green button tells you that you're online. Let's see. So that first question, I want to dive right into this, says, which of the following two shapes appear to be similar? And now before you get started reading questions, the number one thing we say to do is to go through every question without reading it and click C for everything. This will ensure on the math portion of the exam that you don't leave any questions blank. You can click C for all 40 questions, and then you go back to question number 81. Use your scrap paper and your pencil and you prove your answers to 10 to 15 questions. This is the method that my students and I have come up with to help them to meet their math testing requirement for graduation at our school. So this is what we do. And then now you have all of your answers say C, and you don't change your answer on your test until you use your scrap paper and prove that it's something else. So if I look here, I can see which two shapes appear to be similar. I know that similar shapes have proportionate sides and equal angles. So I can see that shapes 2 and 4 have equal angles, all 90 degrees, all 90 degrees. However, the sides are definitely not proportionate when we have a traditional rectangle and a square or a rhombus. Looks like a square on its side, which would also be a rhombus with 90-degree angles. So even though these 2 and 4 have equal angles, their sides are not proportionate because the length on these is longer than the length on number 4. And then when we look at number 1 and 3, we can see obtuse, acute, obtuse, acute, obtuse, acute, obtuse, acute, that they do have equal angles, even though one is flipped to its side, and they do appear to have proportionate sides. We have a short side and a longer side, a short side and a longer side. So our correct answer to number 81 is answer choice B, 1 and 3. That's how I would prove my work. I would write down just a couple of words about what is a similar shape. Number 82, a single diagonal divides a square into how many equivalent right triangles? So if you have a square, sorry if my square is a little bit made out of jello here, and you make a single diagonal, here's a diagonal, goes from corner to corner, cuts diagonally across. Boop. How many equivalent right triangles do you have? That's one right triangle, and there's my second. right triangle. So we have 2 equivalent right triangles. Question number 83 says, all of the girls in Mrs. Bird's math class have at least one sibling. Given this information, which of the following must be true? A says, none of the boys in Mrs. Bird's math class have siblings. We have no idea. There was nothing about that. All of the girls in Mrs. Bird's math class have at least one sister. They could have a brother. We don't know that. That's maybe. Answer choice C, all of the boys in Mrs. Bird's math class have at least one sibling. Maybe that's true. We don't know. It doesn't say anything about the boys in her class. So this one, none of the above must be true. Question number 84. An animal rescue center has 4 kittens for every 1 puppy. So kittens to puppies, we got 4 to 1. If the center has 60 kittens in total, how many puppies does the center have? So if we look here, our proportion, we're going from big to small. So that's telling me to divide. We're going to divide 60 by 4. And that is a no calculator math question, right? Because no calculators are allowed on the CLT. I know that 4 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat. 20 divided by 4 is 5. I proved my answer on my scrap paper. So I can move my answer from C to something else. Oops. And then on the next question, number 85, you can see I wrote pick a number to remind myself to use the pick a number strategy to solve the question. So looking at this, x times x plus 3, you may look at this right away and say, oh, that's the distributive property. X times x is x squared, and x times 3 is 3x with a plus sign in the middle. Our correct answer is x squared plus 3x. Answer choice D. This one's missing the x. This one's missing the square. They put the 2 at front instead of the square. And this, they added stuff they should not have. And we can prove that this answer is correct if we pick a number for x and plug it in. So if I say that x is let's try an easy number, 3. 3 times 3 plus 3. I know that order of operations says parentheses first. 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 times 6 is 18. And if I put in a 3 for my x over here, or for both of my x's over here, I'll also get 18. I know that 3 squared is 3 times 3 is 9, plus 3 times 3 again is 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. Using the pick a number strategy, we proved that these are equivalent expressions because when we plug in a number for x, as long as it's the same number, we get back the same number. And if I would have tried to do that on one of the incorrect answer choices, if I tried to put that for C, I would have gotten 3 squared plus 3 would be 9 plus 3 is 12, which is not the same as 18. That's one way you could use the pick a number strategy. Maybe you didn't need it for this question, but maybe another question. it would help you to solve. Okay. And then question number 86 says a line passes through points 0, 0, and 5, 4. What is the slope of the line? You can remember the formula for slope. Most of my students are great at remembering that slope equals rise over run. A lot of times when I ask what is slope, that's the first thing they'll tell me. So our rise is our change in y's. Over change in the x's. So if we look here, our ordered pairs go x, y, x, y. So if I look at my y's go from 0 to 4. I'm going to write that as 4 minus 0 over my change in my x's. My x's are 0 and 5. And since I started with the 4 for my y, I have to start with the 5 for my x. 5 minus 0. That's going to simplify to 4 over 5, which is the correct answer. And because they gave you ordered pairs that are not too far apart, if you're more of a visual person to count out your slope, you would be able to draw that out. There's my coordinate plane. We got a point at the origin, 0, 0, and we got a point at x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, while y is 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. And you can count that your y went up by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and your x went to the right by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you're more of a visual grapher, you can see it here: up 1, 2, 3, 4, rise, run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 over 5, either way. And then, let's see. Question number 87 says, what is the area of the triangle below? And if you look on the test, it does give you the formula for area of a triangle: 1/2 base times height. Area of a triangle: 1/2 base times height. And base, we can see right here, the bottom. Height, we can see right here, how tall. And so order of operations, you just go ahead and start with your parentheses. 4 times 3 is 12. Half of 12 is 6 centimeters squared. One more real quick before my timer cuts me off. Which of the following could be the missing term in the sequence below? I see all of the fractions have a 1 at the top. All of my answer choice fractions have a 1 at the top. So I'm going to look at the denominators. We got 4 something, 16, 25, 36. Something special I notice right away about all of those numbers is that 4 is 2 squared, 16 is 4 squared, 25 is 5 squared, and 36 is 6 squared. So what's missing here? 2, 4, 5, 6. We're missing 3 squared. 3 times 3 is 9. Correct answer. You already had it on C. I'll catch you back on the next video and we'll look at some more questions together.